What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. If you're listening, leave a comment or rate the podcast. We'd love to hear what you think about it. And if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and comment. And, we'll respond to the comments. This week, we're going to talk about England call-ups, American call-ups this episode. We're going to talk about Champions League. We're going to talk about Europa League and Spurs losing in the Champions League. We're going to talk about Manchester United winning in the Europa League against Sheriff and how a part of our victory is Russia is responsible for it. And I can't really thank them, but just facts is facts. And I think Lee, your team got football this weekend in the Premier League, right?
We're playing tomorrow with a Friday night game, us against Villa.
Villa, okay. So you versus Lloyd. And then I'm a passenger. I ain't got no games. We don't got nothing. Give it up for the homie, Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton fan. We're both wearing red. That's what our teams rock. And Neil Chakravarty might join us in a few, but we're just going to get this thing started. So I guess we'll do the call-ups after. We just kind of like hit these Champions League and Europa League results. And we're also going to talk about that. Who put that Todd Boley article in the chat? We're going to talk about things Todd Boley said.
He said a few things this week.
Things Todd Boley done said. So we'll do a little segment on that. But maybe we should start with that. But we should wait for Neil. That's his boy. That's Neil's team. Todd Boley's his man's in them. So we'll wait for Neil.
Yeah, Neil's got to defend his guy.
He's got to defend his guy. Right. So where should we start? We'll just go through Europa League for a little bit. We'll just talk about Manchester United in the Europa League, and there's a lot of things. Man United beat Sheriff in the Europa League. And you're like, it's just Sheriff, but this Sheriff team in the Champions League has beaten Real Madrid, definitely last season, and I think the season before too. I think they beat them twice.
Yeah, I think they did them twice, yeah.
Yeah, they did them twice. So you can't just sleep on Sheriff. But the thing about this game is Manchester United has to thank a lot of tragedy for this victory. There's three tragedies. The tragedy that that we haven't been good enough and that we're in the Europa League has led us to this victory. So that tragedy. The tragedy also that Sheriff could not play on their home field and they had to play in a stadium like 40 miles away because their home field is too close to the Ukrainian border where the war is taking place. So they didn't have their full home field advantage. So that United also has to thank the tragedy of that. We also have to thank the tragedy of the Queen's death for a part of the victory because we're not playing. We didn't play last weekend in the Premier League and we're not playing this weekend in the Premier League. So we got to field like the best squad available to us, barring injuries. And that definitely helped us bring this victory home. On top of that, Ericsson, like Man United spent a lot of money on players, but it's rare when we get a player that we didn't spend any money on that's a candidate for man of the match, pretty much almost every match. So he kind of makes up for the money and the price of that we overpaid for Anthony. And at this point, I don't think we can say we overpaid for Martinez no more. We did, but he's making it look like we should have paid more because Lissandro Martinez is balling his ass off. He's playing with heart. He's like the closest thing, or one of the closest things to Roy Keane we've seen since Roy Keane bounced. and him and Fergie fell out. So far, so good. But Eriksen is like the glue that is like connecting the back to the front, and he's balling his ass off, and he's fulfilling defensive duties that I don't remember him being capable of before he had a pacemaker. So we'd also like to thank the tragedy of Eriksen in the Euros for actually Eriksen ending up in our hands. Is tragedy gonna get us a title? Like, what's going on here? Is that a theme? I don't know. But that's United. We went to Sharif, or where Sharif was playing this day, Thursday, and we beat them 2-0. Sancho, an amazing goal. He's calm, cool, and collected and composed in front of the goal. An assist from Eriksen. And Ronaldo doesn't look exactly 100% like Ronaldo. Like his legs or his football is a little wobbly. Like you could tell that he's not 100% up to speed. So hopefully, maybe it's because he missed the preseason and he has some life shit going on and the transfer stuff, and just like slumming it might bug him, you know? The fact that he's slumming it in the Europa League or just with United, period. But hopefully he'll get over that and improve. We saw some flashes of stuff from Anthony, and who else was out there? Casemiro was out there. He came in as a sub. McTominay played a pretty much perfect, as far as I can remember, first half. And, you know, because the pressure of like him losing his spot exists now that Casemiro is there. Casemiro played good, but he also made a bunch of mistakes. I think the problem with Casemiro and why he hasn't like gone off to a flying start is that he's busy proving that he's Casemiro. Stop proving that you're Casemiro. You're Casemiro. Play the easy passes, work your way into it. You'll be fine. And also, I don't think Casemiro has had a price on his head in a long time. Like, how long has Casemiro, how long did he play at Real Madrid?
I think 8 or 9 years or something crazy.
8 or 9 years, right? And how much did they get for him? I can't remember.
It was fairly cheap. I think they got him out of Brazil.
Yeah, so they got a deal. And then, so this guy hasn't been bought in a long time. He doesn't know what it feels like to be paid, for a team to pay modern money for him. So imagine like you play for one of the top teams in the world, you won 5 Champions League, but you've had no pressure of a price on your head because you got to Real Madrid in one of the cheapest ways possible. But now you're playing for another team with a historic past, but your price was in the paper and everybody knows how much they paid for you. Like, he has to get used to that. And it's weird that somebody with that much experience doesn't really have that part of an experience to their playing legacy. So hopefully Casemiro will get used to that. And I saw the flashes. It's going to take a little time. Didn't have a preseason with us. We got the system. So I'm sure he'll be fine. And this is probably like the most physical league he's ever played in. And who else? Clean sheet, defense. Dalot did his thing. Malacia did his thing. Dalot won us a penalty. But I got to give Sharif props. They came out hard. They're a very athletic team. They definitely give you a game. Like, they're in the European tournament and they come out with this energy and they try to get you. And the first 15 minutes of the game is probably the toughest 15 minutes for the game for Man United. But we weathered it and slowly gained control, and it started exerting our dominance and started showing what we've been practicing, and we scored our goals. And most importantly, like, we didn't bow to the pressure later on in the game, and like our mentality is getting stronger, and we have like this fighting mentality when you're ahead. Man United always has mentality when they're behind, you know, but you have to have were a up 2 goals mentality to stay up 2 goals, and we showed that. So I don't know if you saw the game or any of the games in the Europa League. I don't know if you went slumming it to the league, but what do you think?
No, I had shows this evening, and then I came straight home for this. So I was keeping track of the scores while I was at the club, but I didn't get to see anything. I saw the Champions League goals and games from the last couple of days, but no, I just had to have a look because I was curious. And Real Madrid signed Casemiro from Sao Paulo in 2013 for 5 million.
Almost 10 years ago. So it's like you went from costing 5 mil to 70 mil. and you went to Real Madrid with no pressure. Like there's pressure. I can't say there's no pressure, but this is a new type of pressure, which is weird for someone who's had so many experiences in football, like the ultimate experiences almost. And you've never cost a team a lot of money. So it's a new thing for him. So, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully he'll get in there.
And credit to you guys for making it a routine victory as well. Like you say, they made you work for it from the sounds of it, but the fact that you went there and you kept a clean sheet and you got the job done is a good sign, especially after the first game against Sociedad. You kind of needed that.
Oh, you got to bring that up, bro.
But then you should have a fairly easy 6 points coming against the Cypriot team.
That was the day the Queen died. We weren't ourselves. You know what I'm saying? You try playing on the day your Queen died and see what happens.
But yeah, you should get 6 points against the Cypriot team that are in your group as well. I think is it Omonia?
Omonia, yeah, they lost to Real Sociedad today, 2-1.
Yeah, they got 0 points. They're at the bottom of the group, so you should take care of business against them, and then I think you'll be comfortable after that. Because I think Sociedad versus Sheriff will be quite interesting.
Yeah,
to see who comes out on top there. But yeah, I think you'll get the job done twice against Omonia, puts you in a good position after that. Yeah, but yeah, who else? West Ham were playing tonight as well, weren't they? But that was in the Conference League, I think.
So let me ask you a question. They played in the Conference League because I have Paramount, right? So Paramount has like, you can click these thumbnails for what league you want to watch. So I assumed but you know what? West Ham didn't win the Conference League last year. But so here's my question. So this is, I want to go to West Ham because I did watch some of West Ham because I wanted to see like what their new signings were going to do. And I like monitoring Declan Rice. I want to see what Scamacca was going to do. I want to see Paqueta, and who else do I want to see? I want to see Emerson, another guy that Neil's not a fan of. So I want to see them play.
Cornet was there as well.
Cornet's there. I want to see what their big budget was going to do in the Conference League. That's a lot of money to spend to be in a Conference League. How much does a Conference League pay? I mean, Jesus.
Barely anything.
Barely anything. But I gotta. They were leading 3-1, then the team pulled back. I made it 3-2. So I wonder if they finished that game up, because then I went to Golasso to just watch an overall.
They won 3-2
all the game
in the end.
So they won 3-2. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Scamacca got a goal. Lanzini and Dawson with the other one. So yeah, the other because Silkeborg took the league after 5 minutes. They took the lead, and then West Ham pulled it back with 3. So after 38 minutes, it was 3-1, which is crazy. And then 75th minute, Silkeborg pulled one back and finished 3-2. But I think that's just more of an adventure for West Ham in the Conference League this year. They should have some fun in that league. They probably got a good chance of winning it because, And then Arsenal were meant to play tonight as well against PSV in the Europa League, but obviously that got cancelled because the police in London are busy looking after a 4-mile long queue for people to walk past the coffin, which is insane.
What's up, Neil? Neil Chakravarty's here. I already introduced you.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I completely zoned out. Like I was just not even doing anything. I completely missed that it had gone past 4:30.
Don't make us feel even worse, bro.
No, I just lost sense of time. Yeah.
No, Neil was too busy coming up with plans to defend Todd Boley.
My all-star team. You want to look at my all-star team? Slightly better than the Cobham 11.
Yeah, you're the guest of honor this episode, because even though we got like Champions League scores and Europa League scores, we just made up a segment called what top Boley say now? So
you know the funniest thing is for about 20 years we had an owner who just wouldn't speak. Like there's no interview, I think, except Forbes did one print piece. There's literally nothing on the record that questions have been asked to Abramovich, and that's been a regular gripe among the media in England, that we have the owner just wouldn't speak. They've asked for so many interview requests and all of them have been turned down. And here you have somebody completely 180 who's coming in, and he's at a hedge fund conference, lighting it up, talking about a range of issues, and suddenly we have like all these Chelsea fans who are like, it was a live stream on YouTube, and there's like a bunch of us logging in trying to figure out what he's saying. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
He should have made that not live so that you could go back and edit it afterwards and be like, actually take that shit out. I shouldn't have said that.
If the way he's moving, I really don't think he cares.
Listen, man,
I don't think he's in the business of winning public opinion.
Listen, I learned a lot from that hedge fund live stream about football. For instance, I had no idea that Kevin De Bruyne and Mo Salah were from Cobham, the Chelsea Academy. So homegrown players. So that was news to me. So it's good to know that. All this time I've been pronouncing La Masia the wrong way. It's La Messia. So now I know how to say that. And now I know there's a new formation called a 4-4-3. And then what else? What else your boy been saying? Like
I think like a few pretty pretty out there sound bites aside, I think this is an interview that I at least if you like, based on what I said last week, I was pretty angry at him. I think I kind of needed to hear this because the entire interview is actually pretty fascinating, and there's a lot of detail in it which kind of made me rethink what my initial impression of him just being a maverick is.
Oh yeah. I didn't see I don't know if Lee did see the rest of the interview. So go ahead, tell us about the parts of the interview that aren't making fun of him, because all I've been reading are the parts that slam him. Because
they're the only bits. They're the only bits I've seen as well. And all I can say is, based on those bits, I can now see why Chelsea's transfer business was a shit show for the most part. In terms of the players they got in the end were good, but the whole way it was handled was a bit of a shit show. And I can see why, given that this guy was just alone in the candy shop himself with all this money and absolutely no knowledge of the game or how it operates. Trying to get, and I can see why that frustrated the fuck out of Thomas Tuchel as well. Like this is the guy I have to work with to try and sort these deals out. That must have been an absolute nightmare because I think his heart's in the right place. I don't think that can be denied. I think he cares about what he's doing, but he's being very outspoken for someone who has such little knowledge.
You mean he's being very American?
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Let me just.
I'm sorry. Right before you go, just to tag something Lee said. Yeah. To be honest, your transfer window was not that bad for some guy who wants a 4-4-3. So I gotta be honest about that. Sorry. So
we do need that extra defender. What can you do? I think a couple of things, right? Like before the whole Tuchel decision happened, I actually had a very good impression of Todd Boley and his consortium right from the bidding phase, when he was just one among a pack. They did make all the right moves, and from the few things that I'd heard of him from even before he was in the running to own Chelsea, it isn't like I know some of the things he's saying comes off as if he's not really well versed with the game, but he's been keeping an eye on the Premier League and on European football for a while now. The whole Super League thing, there's an interview of him, you can still find it on YouTube, where he talks about how in awe he was of the fans in England, that they actually managed to, get their point across and stop a business model that, was all set to go ahead. And he harps on the fact that
he still wanted a North or South game.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of I'll come to the North versus South game, but so he's talking about the Super League in terms of that, you can't the fact that the fans hold all the power. You see it in moments like these. At the end of the day, the fans drive the sport, not the other way around. And if you if something is important to the fans, you just can't do anything about it. And even in this interview, he was asked about the Super League. I know he didn't say a hard no, which I guess that's just businessmen speak, where you never say never. But he pretty much said, which has always been my stance, if you talk about the Super League bringing in more excitement, you already have that with the Champions League. Like every season, I have nothing to complain about. Like I feel the Champions League delivers what it absolutely has to deliver from a European, like the biggest of the teams, the drama, the storylines. I think it delivers that every season. And he pretty much said the same thing, that we already have that with the Champions League. Why would you want to break something fix something that's not broken? And he talks about the pyramid, and he talked about the pyramid even before he took up the Chelsea job, which again, from an American sports owner point of view, there is no concept of a pyramid in American sports, right? So the fact that you have knowledge of stuff like that, which itself, I think, there's something there. And he did a few things when he actually took on the consortium. He got on board to very through and through Chelsea fans. Danny Finkelstein, who's a journalist. I think he's also a member of House of Commons at one point. And Barbara Koshron, I think her name is. She again is pretty high profile Chelsea fan, and people who've had season tickets for decades and who go to every game. And they're actually now on the board. Both of them are on the board, which is pretty rare for a top club to have actually two fans on the board of directors. So he's made all the right moves. And then this whole, he's funding what the manager wants. That's what it seemed like for the entirety of the window. And then bam, this whole Tuchel thing comes in, where I kind of like feel, well, what are you doing? You've ruined something that was building, and you've shown yourself to be a maverick. And so on the back of that, if you look at his answer that he said, it kind of, again, I still don't feel it was the right decision, the sacking, but the reasoning that he gave is at least the least nonsensical of the reasons I could have thought of. I think that's the best way I could put it, where he talks about, like, we know Tuchel is a great coach. It wasn't that. It wasn't even the results. It was just that we could not, our visions didn't align. And if we wanted a manager who would align with our vision of creating a club that has, he talks about pathways. So you're talking about the stuff that, the good stuff that he talked about in the interview. He talks about pathways. He talks about how we have one of the best academies in the world. I know he threw in a few names he shouldn't have, but despite that, we still have one of the best academies. And it's been a running theme for a while. We haven't used our academy to the absolute levels we probably should have.
You use it to make money.
What I would say to that, though, is that why didn't he have that conversation with Tuchel in the summer when he first came in? Like, I get why they wanted to just sort of steady the ship, but either you stick with him for another season and then you make this decision next summer and you give a new guy a chance to come in and fully embed his philosophy and have transfer windows, or you get him in this summer. Because why let Tuchel run the transfer system and then go, oh, actually our visions didn't align a week after the window shuts? It seems a bit crazy. It's the timing mainly. Like I can fully get that if they thought that, okay, you know, in the future, this isn't going to work out long term, or, you know, we want someone long term, but just the timing to do it after giving him these players that he had apparently wanted and then pulling the plug on it, it just feels a bit strange.
Yeah, it's I mean, and that's the criticism, right? Like, definitely. I guess the counterpoint to that is that it took them a while to finally draw that line. That you know, it isn't gonna work out.
Yeah, but then like even till Christmas or the end of the season or something.
Yeah,
I feel like a part of why that didn't happen, Lee, is like it's almost like Boley's like really into the sport, and I felt like he came in there was like, I got a great coach, and I want to be best friends with this coach, and I'm gonna call him all the time. And Tuchel was like, I just hung up with you. I can't believe you called again.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. That is exactly.
You meet somebody who's great, and you're like, this is gonna work out, and then they just are too codependent, and then you lash out at their codependency, and then Boley's like, wait a minute, did this person just yell at me or something, or just like I thought we just vibing. Yeah, but bro, I just turned over in my bed and you were on the other pillow. Like we just hung up. How did you get in my room? Give me a minute. You give me a minute. No, but I thought we was. So I feel like that happened.
You know, when the whole the ownership changing hands and stuff like that, when it kind of became clear that regardless who we pick, it is going to be an American owner. As a Chelsea fan, your obvious fear is that because you've had almost a decade of United fans, Arsenal fans talking about the Cronkies and the Glazers, and even to a slight respect, even Liverpool fans talking about FSG, how, you know, they just don't care about what's happening at the club. So that was a natural fear. It sounds like he cares a little too much too early. Like he needs to, like, maybe, you know, let things play out a little bit. He wants to be in every he wants his fingers in every pile almost at this point. So even like the whole all-star game thing, I think when somebody who's not in the business of English football comes in and finds out that there are clubs who are not that far down, like even clubs in the bottom, like clubs in the Championship, they are pretty much very close to the top of the Premier League and top of English football, which is a huge money-making machine. And I find out that such clubs, like there are clubs which are not really doing well, probably just can't wrap their heads around it. Like, why is there even a question as to why clubs aren't doing that great? So the conversation about funding down the pyramid, that's where his suggestion for the North versus South game came from.
I think that's I'll be honest. He was running game on us with that. I don't think he cares about the bottom of the league.
No, but that was the question. He was not talking about like that, an all-star game that could benefit the top clubs or, you know, benefit, if anything, an all-star game hurts the top clubs more because their players are going to be, they're going to have to play not for them.
But I don't believe that answer that he said. I just believe he said that to appease the craziness of the idea. Not that it's that crazy of an idea, because I've thought about it and I read some stuff on it, but also just one more thing on the Graham Potter thing. I think when he hired Graham Potter, he said, hey man, do you mind if we share a room? You know what I'm saying? So in case I have any ideas in the middle of the night, I could just tap you on the shoulder and you roll over when we talk about it. And Graham Potter's like, all right, let's do it. And I think that's a part of how we got the job. Sorry, Lee, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I'll be honest, the Community Shield bores the fuck out of me every season. Like, I've got no interest in ever really getting that excited about it. It's a boring game. I always feel like teams are being cagey, like they don't want to give too much away. Like when it's Liverpool, Man City, it's like, you know, people watch that game and went, oh, Liverpool are going to run away with the league this season. Man City, you know, Haaland's not settle in, and then immediately as soon as the season starts, it's like, oh, that was not the case. I think teams don't give a shit about it, so I would happily see an all-star game replace the Community Shield. Yeah, fuck the Community Shield. It's a shit game. No one really cares about it. It's just a weird tradition
if people don't care about it, might as well have an exhibition game, actually have something that we can't see in the regular season.
Do North and South, get Alex Ferguson to come back and manage the North team, get Arsene Wenger to come back and manage the South team.
Oh my God.
Have a fight on the touchline, just two geriatrics going at it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I don't want none of my players to get injured for the season.
Oh, don't worry. No United players are getting in that team. It's just going to be City and Liverpool. None of your players would even see it.
So they just
no, we'll have Ronaldo. We have Ronaldo for the money, for the
he'll be on the bench. He'll come on for the last 10 minutes.
At least he'll start.
But the team would just essentially be Man City plus Salah, maybe Trent, if they want an attacking right back, and the rest would just be City. That's it. Maybe Alisson.
Van Dijk, I guess.
That's what international break is for. What? I don't know.
I feel like it's one game, and I mean, again, Todd Boley's talking about. It's not like the outrage you see from people like Guy Neville. It's not like the game's gonna happen tomorrow just because he said it, right? It's an idea. You're going to have to talk about it. I mean, Guy Neville does Monday Night Football. That's an American thing, like that came into. There was no Monday Night Football in UK football. So the other thing he talked about was the relegation 4-team tournament, which is essentially a flip of what happens in the championship, the playoffs, right?
Right.
There is a pathway for the sixth place team to get to the Premier League, and that only happens because you have the playoffs. So he's kind of talking about these things where you can generate a little more excitement, a little more, have a few more big games, because that is a huge game. Just like how the Wembley Championship final, the playoff final, is considered to be the biggest game in football, just on a dollar amount basis. You kind of have the inverse of it if you have a loser goes down, relegation final.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because you would maybe get a team that are they know they're way bottom, so they could just start resting players towards the end of the season, whereas the other teams are still fighting whether they stay in that bottom four or not, and it might get a bit weird. There's some things they do in some leagues, like the Bundesliga has two teams go down automatically, and then the team that finished third bottom have a playoff against the team who finished third top in the league below. But the only thing you might get with stuff like that is that obviously the Premier League teams have way bigger budgets.
Yeah, so that's not. Then it's not a level playing field anymore.
I think promotion relegation kind of works. As it is, we get enough drama, and if there's a really shit team, they go down bottom of the league on merit. It would have been crazy if there was a weird playoff where Norwich ended up staying up last season or something. It'd be like, come on, this is mad.
And then go down this season. It's
no, but I see your point.
But let me just steal Klopp's idea. Response to this is a bunch of things. It's like these players, man, they're overworked. It's like in basketball and American football, you have months off. You know what I mean? You have so the break is like a legit break. But these guys, there is no break really. They're playing all year already. These coaches are complaining about how much lack of rest their team or players get, and to do this tournament at the end of the season just makes the in between the season even shorter. Listen,
but that'll be for the bottom four teams. Those players have nowhere to go after the end of the season. They don't have European football.
Leeds barely survived last year. There's players on Leeds that play for internationally, and there's players on West Ham that play internationally. Like when West Ham almost went down, or when Aston Villa almost went down, Grealish played for Villa, and what's his name plays for Jamaica. It's like you can't listen. If we can't fix something until we break it, there's a reason why this thing is working, and it's there's something else that needs to be done for the whole league to make more money, and it's not add more games.
No, that's fair enough. I think the idea of like both these ideas, I don't think they get done in even a couple of years, because it will take a long time for people to get on board, for scheduling to work out. Like scheduling is a genuine issue, right? Like we see that all the time. Like this is a very relevant year to talk about it because of the World Cup that's going to completely throw things out the picture, even if Queen Elizabeth had not died. So scheduling is always going to be an issue, but if things can be found out, as Lee was saying, I mean, I would definitely be in favor of a North versus South instead of the Community Shield. And Jurgen Klopp was saying, like, how's it going to work out if a Liverpool player is going to play with a Manchester United player and an Everton player? How's that even going to work out? I'm like, they do that for the national team all the time. Yeah. It's not something that hasn't happened. So, and if you look at before every major game, like you'll see a Manchester United, like even Sky Sports comes out with a combined United Arsenal lineup for the derby. I'm like, these are dream lineups people come up with. You finally have a chance to see your dreams turn into reality. You're not going to take that. Like,
and also, if you're someone like Pep or someone or Klopp, and your team is probably going to play in the Community Shield, you'd rather an all-star game because less of your players will play.
Right.
And they'll play less minutes. Or there should be a rule like, okay, we're going to do a North-South game, but no player will play more than 45 minutes.
Or maybe like no more than
60 minutes.
Yeah.
Or the Griezmann rule. Everybody plays a Griezmann amount of time.
Yeah.
So Champions League was just played Tuesday, Wednesday, and Chelsea played. They played Potter first game. He's never even attended a Champions League game, and the first time at a Champions League game, he's coaching in it. So he devises this system that breaks the internet. This formation that breaks the internet, and Chelsea versus Salzburg. What do you think? This is your team, Neil. Sorry. What do you think of this formation? What do you think of the game? 1-1 Champions League, first time seeing Boley's new roommate coach.
Well, I'm glad we're doing the pod today, because if you had done it the day of the game, I wouldn't have been able to tell you what I thought of the formation, because I didn't understand what the formation was. It needed to act. It is a crazy situation where, okay, you can see a few things happening, and then you can look at heat maps and stuff. But until the time that Potter actually came on record confirming a few things, I still wasn't really buying it. So because
you watched the game back 5 times to try and figure it out.
Yeah, it felt like even Aspilicueta didn't really know what formation was being played. So, I mean, it couldn't really have been a back four, because Aspilicueta never really plays as a centre back in a.
It wasn't. Don't worry about it. It wasn't.
It wasn't. So back three, but then you don't really have the left-sided wing back. So who really is that? Is it Mason Mount, Raheem Sterling? I really thought that, because the day before I was speaking to some other Chelsea fans, and
you have to remember that Raheem Sterling started out as a left back for Liverpool. He took he's from the Gareth Bale school, where you're a left back.
I didn't know
that. Yeah. He was a left back.
Okay.
He was a left back.
No, he was a wing. He might have been at QPR, but he was always a winger at Liverpool.
No. I remember him being a left back and then scoring and then pushing him forward. He went to midfield and then yeah. Because I watched Liverpool too much. But check, look it up and you'll see. I remember seeing him, especially when they had that all or nothing with he was getting into it with Leicester's coach. They had beef. Yeah, he was a back.
I was actually speaking to some Chelsea, and I was saying, because I've been reading up on some of Potter's tactics at Brighton, and I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of our wingers start playing as wingbacks. But I had Christian Pulisic in mind. I didn't think Raheem Sterling would be the one who would be playing there. But that's what happened, and it was kind of interesting that Sterling, even though Sterling and Reece were the wing backs, essentially both of them were playing as wingers for the entirety of the game. Like Reece was also so far high up.
I think because you were playing a team that were in such a low block as well for a lot of the game.
Yeah.
They were able to do that. Also, I've just looked it up, and it was Brendan Rodgers experimented with him as a wing back for a little bit and then binned it quickly. He was using him as a right wing back in a 3-5-2 at Liverpool.
Okay.
He would score, and then they're like, "All right, let's put this motherfucker forward." He's like, but I know I saw him back there.
Yeah, and we started the game with a lot of energy, and there were a lot of great moves happening. Some very aesthetically pleasing, quick passing. There was a lot of pace in the game. It took us a while to actually get real chances going, but then the chances came near the around the 30th to 40th minute mark, and pretty soon after the break, you scored from one such chance. Sterling scored. There's a greatly well taken move, and you kept moving the ball from left to right. And Sterling took the shot really well. I don't think it was he made it a very easy goal by the way he took it. He wasn't in the best position, but right hand corner, not even best of goalkeepers are going to have a tough time.
Really good finish.
So that was great, and you could have had one more after that. But then I mean, despite all the confusion with the way the formation was at the back, I actually thought the defense had a really good game. Like it's probably our best defensive performance of the season in terms of how compact we are, hardly gave anything away. I know it was, it wasn't really a great opposition, but then we make one mistake, and that one mistake was like a bizarre mistake. I counted at least seven players who could have made challenges before the ball reached Kepa. And of course, the biggest culprits were Silva and Azpilicueta. Silva, I don't know why he went in two-footed with that and almost kind of like misjudged. But it's still, even though he misjudged the line, it still seemed that he had it under control. It just got away from him, and that was not something you expect from him. And then Aspi had just one player to cover, and he didn't do that. And when Kepa, I don't know what more to say about Kepa. Like I
wouldn't blame that on him.
It was straight through his legs. It was straight at him, and it actually got a slight deflection, which took the pace off the ball. You should get that at this level.
We found who it's going to be, Lee.
Hopefully he doesn't have to play a lot of games. Hopefully he doesn't have to play a lot of games.
We was wondering who is going to be the scapegoat, Chelsea scapegoat for Neil. Now, I got it.
I mean, he's not. It's not even like I can blame the guy, because I don't really have a lot of expectations from Kepa, but I thought that was a very soft goal to give away by the entire team, but especially the last three folks. And we try, and then finally, it seems like we get that sense of urgency finally into our game, and Broja, Loftus-Cheek, they come back. That counter-attack if he had scored, where Broja picks up the ball straight, almost Kepa rolls the ball out to Broja, and he charges with it, lays off to Sterling. Sterling gets back to Broja, and he absolutely puts in a plate for Hakim Ziyech, who kind of goes for a Panenka kind of a finish. There's a great stop by the keeper though, but that would have been a great goal if he had that got in. And then Pulisic comes on pretty late in the game. I think the USMNT Twitter went pretty crazy. The fact that it's another manager and Pulisic still on the bench, and he got a couple of minutes at the end. He put out a great pass to Hakim Ziyech, like almost from left wing back position to Ziyech on the right, but Ziyech kind of like fluffs his header. I think we played slightly better than what we've been playing in the last couple of weeks, but again, just not good enough because we needed the points. We're bottom of the group. I think we're going to see you, Ian, pretty soon in the Europa League.
Hopefully not. But
yeah, you could have done with that 3 points. I think you'll get a clearer picture of where you're going to finish after you, because it's back-to-back games against Milan now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Home and away. So I think you'll have
yeah.
a better idea after that where you'll finish in that group.
Yeah.
And I think they don't. I heard something about them Boley not demanding that Chelsea finish in the top 4 because he wants to build this thing.
It's weird that the same report said that the owners expect a top 4 finish, but that doesn't mean Potter will be sacked if he doesn't. I'm like, well, if it's because he said a minimum requirement. I'm like, if it's a minimum requirement, surely there's consequences to not meeting a minimum requirement. So, yeah, well, the thing is, the whole Potter appointment, I think if he was just going in for a quick fix, probably have appointed somebody like a Zidane or a Pochettino. The fact that you've gone in for somebody who is a builder like Potter, hopefully there is a method to it that is more long term. And he's talked about, even in the interview, he talked about like pathways for academy players, youth players, stuff like that.
Yeah, appointing someone like that and not giving them patience would be really stupid.
Yeah.
Right. So one thing I want to say, I was watching this thing on YouTube by Tifo. Like sometimes they do tactical analysis of like how a team played and they did one for for Potter. Chelsea versus Salzburg. And so the guy was saying that Salzburg plays straight up the pitch and they compacted. So that's why you guys had the weird, like slanted wide guys of Reece James and Sterling, and you did get your setup for your goal from wide and your goal actually from your width, and like you said, it was one of the best defensive games you guys played because you that's why you guys were shut down the middle but played wide. But it's just like there was like just this one mistake that would have made this a pretty good coaching debut for Potter.
Yeah, 1-0, you take that.
Yeah, you take that.
Joe Cole broke it down really well on BT Sport as well. On the live coverage, he did like a little analysis piece on how Sterling played and how having him so far wide on the touchline, every time they switched the ball out to him, it pulled Salzburg's block wider and started creating gaps between some of the defenders. And just how his position and his movement was helping do that. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not that was, because I think Potter's quite good at coming up with one-off game plans rather than being like, I'm going to play exactly this way every single week against every team. So it might be that we never see this again. It might have just been he thought this was the best way to get a result in this particular game against an opponent who play a very particular style, like you say. Red Bull Sox, but they play super compact. They want verticality, so the ball just goes forwards. If they win it, it goes forwards, and all their players are in that zone. And if they lose it, it means they can collapse on it. But if you play with width and you can dominate them in those wide areas, it causes them problems. And it definitely did that. It was just maybe a lack of clinical finishing and obviously being sloppy on that one goal. That's meant it's a draw, but I think it was a pretty one-sided game for a draw.
Yeah, so that's good.
We've also missed the fact that we don't really use our wingers for width. We've kind of missed that even under Tuchel, because like the forward players we do play, like even if it's Pulisic, Sterling, they play kind of like as inside forwards. And I feel like especially somebody like Sterling, his strength is his ability to beat a man and create opportunities on the left. So I kind of like the fact that we're using him in to unlock people down that wing, because we haven't really been doing that under Tuchel.
It was like we were saying in the chat though as well, if you end up moving to a back four and you've got Sterling left wing and he's coming inside, and then you have Cucurella or Chilwell on the overlap as well, like that could be really dangerous. That sort of system as well. So it's going to be interesting to watch your games going forward. And I think whatever happens, I think Potter will make you more interesting and attractive to watch than Tuchel did. Like Tuchel was very functional in what he did, kind of thing. It was a little bit rigid at times, it looked. Whereas I think under Potter, it might be a little bit more free.
Yeah.
Sorry, just sending a message. So just trying to go through the Champions League really quick before we move on to like the England call-ups and the American call-ups, and then like games for the weekend. And we did the Todd Boley thing before you got on. We talked about Manchester United whooping ass in the Europa League. I mean, we had to win. There's no games for Manchester United for 17 days. You can't go 17 days without a win. And then the next game we play is against Man City at City. We needed this win. We get to enjoy a win that would hurt us over 17 days and kill us emotionally and morally. And now we get to just relax and coast for 17 days. But there's something. What games did you get to check out in Champions League?
City, Liverpool,
Yes.
The City game, the Liverpool game, and the Bayern Barca game were the three that I watched back.
All right, me too. So you want to run those? Which one you want?
And we got to actually fuck all of those games. Let's talk about Tottenham losing first.
All right, let's talk about that.
Because that was my favorite part of this week.
What a beautiful shot.
And it's a shame Marcus Edwards didn't score, because it'd be fun to watch a Tottenham academy player come back to haunt them after they cast him out. But I mean, that one move they had where he danced through like 5 players and played a little 1-2. If that had gone in, that would have been amazing.
He walked through their defense like they had IBS. Like all he had to do was finish that thing. But yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why Pochettino used to call him Mini Messi.
Oh yeah.
He had those skills. But I mean, it was a great result for Sporting. I mean, 2 goals late on to turn it round, which was heartbreaking for Tottenham, which was the best way for them to lose probably in the end, to think they're getting at least a point. But it's like I said to Martin, they can only do it against 10 men. They beat Marseille because Marseille had a sending off, but this time they played against 11 and they lost. So that's how it goes for Tottenham. And yeah, we'll see how because they still got a fairly easy group, I think, with Frankfurt in there as well, Marseille. I think they should still come out of that group somewhere in the top 2. I mean, I hope they don't, but this is what Martin's done to me. He just made me have an intense dislike for Tottenham.
Yeah, he does. 100%. If you have these urges against Tottenham that you never had before, it's because of Martin. And so don't think it's weird. I think it's anybody who knows a Tottenham fan. Like Lloyd is a Villa fan, and he just doesn't. He's like, last season, at the end of the season, when Villa was playing Man City, he wanted Villa to lose because he did not want Liverpool to win the league. He's like, I don't care. I was like, but it's your team. It's the last game of the season. You want him to lose? Yeah. And he wasn't bullshitting. So
yeah, everyone's got their little grudges. It's always fun. But no, it was interesting to see Tottenham fail in a game where they probably thought they were going to come away with a win. But credit to Sporting, they played well. And
shout out to Sporting and Benfica, who from the Portuguese league, letting the teams from the top European teams know what time it is, because Benfica took care of Juventus 2-1, and Juventus didn't look like they belonged on the same field with Benfica. But go ahead.
How about that Marcus Edwards guy?
So what?
Marcus Edwards.
Who ran through, you talk about the ex-Tottenham guy?
Ex-Tottenham
What about him?
I mean, there's people who even like having calls for him to be in the World Cup squad. I've never really seen him play before that game, but yeah, he looks a real talent.
I saw him play in Spurs' youth team a handful of times, and he always looked amazing at that level. But I know some people who coached in the Spurs academy back then, and they said that he had real attitude problems. Like he would constantly turn up late for stuff, and that was why Spurs bombed him out in the end, to be fair to Tottenham. They found him difficult to work with, and whenever he got chances, he didn't really take them. But I mean, sometimes it takes that for a player to go abroad, and I think for a young English player especially, going abroad matures you a bit, because you have to, all of a sudden, you're out your comfort zone, you're not with your friends anymore, you're living in a different country. So I think it looks like it's been good for him, because he didn't go straight to Sporting, he went to another club called Vitória Guimarães. I think it was Guimarães.
Say that again.
A team called Guimarães, Vitória Guimarães was where
Sometimes
I think he went. And
a little exiling will correct your attitude.
Yeah, I mean, for some players it works. For some players it doesn't. I mean, it didn't really work for Ravel Morrison. He seemed to be a pain in the ass everywhere he went. But it was Guimarães he went to. So he did really well. He went to Excelsior in Holland on loan first, and then they released him after that. So he's had some travels, and he looks more mature as a player now. And to see him lighting up a Champions League game was pretty cool.
Yeah, hopefully he he's got his stuff together and he continues to focus, because if that's an example of what he could do, I'd like to see more of
that. For sure.
What other games you guys want to talk about next in this?
That Haaland goal.
I mean, let's build up the irony of Man City. You just left Dortmund. You're with Man City, and your old team and your old teammates, the team that took you to the next level, comes to your new team to play you in the Champions League, the top of the league, and Dortmund played great.
Yeah, Bellingham was balling out.
Yeah. Got to go. Goal. Limited City shots.
You knew as City got back to 1-1, you knew they were going to go win it. That's just what they do. They just like to rope-a-dope these teams. And that assist from Cancelo was unreal. Yeah. To put it on the money on the outside of the foot was,
Did you guys
He's
hear?
Like, oh, you're only being marked by 3 players? Try this.
One of these stats websites, they have they do the XG modeling for every shot taken. And so one of these websites, they also have a 3D modeling of every shot that was taken. So that shot that Haaland took, that broke the model, because they just couldn't 3D model it. It looked like an overhead kick, which it wasn't, because his head was facing one way, the legs were. It's just an absolute freak of a shot, and how he got that much power from that angle is just insane.
Yeah.
Neil, that's his header.
His foot, it came off as well. Like,
yeah,
the athleticism to do that. I think there's only one other player in the world that would probably do that, and that's Zlatan in his prime.
That was so Zlatan. But...
And wait a second. I don't even think I think Zlatan did that once, and he keeps talking about it till now. But I've probably seen Haaland do it a couple of times this season already.
Zlatan's got a collection of those.
He's got a few.
I don't know. I'm actually pretty scared. Like, that goal really shook me. I don't know why we have this podcast. I don't know why we need to talk about the Premier League for the next couple of years if that guy's gonna rock up. And because this is a cheat code like we've never seen. If that's, he needs to get injured. I'm so sorry to say that, but
wow, Jesus Christ.
To have any semblance of competition in the Premier League.
Come on, man. Villa tied this team, and Dortmund came on the road and put up a good fight. Like City won in the last minutes. But I think I just forgot already what I was gonna say. But I forgot. Go ahead, somebody.
It's really crazy if you look at the stats with Haaland though, because he's really not been involved in the games at all. Like, his touches are so low every single game, but he's literally just there for those moments when the ball comes into the box. He'll finish it off, which is really different for a City forward to do, because normally Guardiola likes them to be involved in in the play and really sort of methodical with it. But here it's just, we want you to stay in between the posts and we're going to get the ball to you. And if you do, you score. But you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to drop in as a false nine and do this or that. You just stay there and we'll find you and you'll win us those games.
And his touch stats are like shots on goal and shot stats. You know what I mean? Like if you see it, like if you look at how many his touches and how many of his touches went in goal,
9 shots,
and shots, it's just like who plays like that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like Leo's saying that we'll get you the ball and you do what you have to do. Sometimes they're not even getting the ball to him. Like he's somehow figuring out ways to, like, even if it's in the general vicinity of where he is, he's getting his leg to it, he's getting his head to it, and it's goal bound. Like it's just crazy and it's sad.
He's a Targaryen, man.
Like even Ronaldo, he was so good when he was in the Premier League, like young Ronaldo. But it was a slow burn. He didn't come out and start balling in the Premier League in his first season. Actually, I mean, I might be wrong on this, but I don't even think it was until his last season where he actually was, Ronaldo level prolific.
Yeah, he had one season of that before he went to Real Madrid.
Yeah, so that was the last season where they won the Champions League, right?
Yeah, but I think Haaland was raised right. Like Ronaldo was thrown into a top league, into a top team, like at an early age. Haaland was raised right. He went through Salzburg, and then he kept on like raising the levels like appropriately. Like it's almost like when you're a kid, everybody's 13, you're playing with the 13-year-olds, you're better than the 13-year-olds, we're going to put you with 15-year-olds. And then you play with the 15-year-olds for a year, so, all right, you're better than the 15-year-olds, we're going to play with the 16, the 17-year-olds, even though you're just 15. And it's like, that's what they did with the level of the leagues that he played in. But here's a question. So, and this, I should have asked this when we was talking about your leader, Darth Boley, right? So do Red Bull Salzburg and Red Bull Leipzig, are they the same ownership group?
Yeah.
So they're both in the Champions League, right?
Yeah, I don't know how that works though, because I'm pretty sure
there's been questions about this before.
So I was like, it came to, because I was like watching the games, like, wait a minute, what the fuck is going to happen here? So there's
some legal loopholes that they've exploited somewhere, I think. Like, when like someone has their assets in like their partner's name or something so that people can't touch it. I think there's some sort of dodgy paperwork going on. Where like everyone knows that it's the same, but legally it's technically not the same.
But in this case, they might have made some legal effort to hide who the actual owner is, but it's in the name. It's
I think
the name.
I think they go down as FC Salzburg now.
Oh, really? So it's not,
yeah, I think they take it off. I think they just go under that name now, so that it's different.
I'm looking at this Google sheet with all the team names. It says Chelsea versus Red Bull, RB Salzburg. So they can't.
Yeah,
like this is going to be. I hope there's a collision course where these two. And here's the irony when you look at it on Google. Like they have two rows of teams, and the Chelsea Salzburg is completely right opposite the Real Madrid RB Leipzig. So it's like, I don't know how they're gonna. I hope this problem happens. That's all I'm saying.
And Todd Boley is actually talking about getting, and this is actually one.
That's why I thought of it. That's why I thought of it, because he said that, and it made me think about Red Bull. And
I'm pretty sure there are certain UEFA guidelines that prohibit it, but he's talking about, and that's also one reason why, at least as a selfish Chelsea fan, I kind of appreciate the fact that he's probably he's looking at the nitty-gritties, because he's looking at clubs in Portugal, clubs in Holland, clubs in Brazil, where if you're just in it for the money, you'd probably look at an MLS club you probably look at a club in Australia, which are more commercial markets. But he's talking about feeder clubs where you can reliably send your youth team top talent for the next stage of their development in a league that has shown to be have a style of play and bring up stars for the Premier League in the future.
You sort of had that unofficially with like Vitesse in Holland, didn't you? Where because like Breuer went out there and played for them. I think Mount went out there. You had a couple of other guys who didn't quite make it, like
Solanke,
Lewis
Baker.
Lewis Baker went out there as well. Yeah.
Say that again. You kind of had it where?
So Vitesse Arnhem in Holland. We used to almost for a 6 or 7 year period regularly send out a couple of our loan players to Vitesse. It was like almost a running joke that every time Chelsea have a young player come in, oh yeah, he's going to be a Vitesse Arnhem legend.
I'm not sure if it was anything to do with Abramovich, because Vitesse have Georgian owners, or they did do for a while. And obviously Georgia and Russia are.
I think there is something there because
there's some closeness there.
Because
the Man City group, that's not what they're called, but they own a team in Spain that got to La Liga. I don't know if it's still in La Liga.
Granada?
So some of the I think so. I can't remember, but then some of the players,
I think it might be Girona.
Yeah, start with a G.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're still in the La Liga. But then it's like RB Leipzig. Did they expect? I mean, Salzburg. Did the owners expect Salzburg to end up in the Champions League when they did this, or was it like, and then it's just doing better than they thought it would be, and it's created this issue, and then everybody who went along with this, like, yeah, Salzburg would never get in the goddamn Champions League.
Yeah, I think you need to get through qualifiers, right? If you're an Austrian team.
Yeah. So. I was just reading it was an oligarch who owned Vitesse, and that's why that link was there.
Yeah,
but it was back in 2017. There was a UEFA investigation into whether or not those two could play together in the Champions League, RB Leipzig and Salzburg. And it says here, the quote says, following a thorough investigation and further to several important governance and structural changes made by the clubs regarding corporate matters, financing, personnel, sponsorship arrangements, the UEFA deemed that no individual or legal entity had any more decisive influence over more than one club participating in the competition. So yeah, UEFA, like I say, I think it's all just legal loopholes being exploited, because it's clear that they are, because they have so many players who move between them as well.
No, but I will say
Sesko's going to Leipzig, right?
But I will say this though, like the reason why the only reason why, from a sporting perspective, you would have a problem with this is due to a conflict of interest if they ever face each other, right? I don't think the Red Bull owners care about results at all, because they're completely fine not breaking Bayern's monopoly in the Bundesliga, for example. They just sent out their two best players and their manager to Bayern. So they're absolutely comfortable being where they are in the hierarchy of German football. So I'm guessing they would be completely fine not really, I don't think a loss is what matters to them. I mean, the entire Red Bull group, like for them, it's more of sports is the biggest free branding that they can ever get, right?
Whilst turning a profit on transfers at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, they're scouting. They're pretty good at scouting, I'll tell you that. So we talked about Man City, Dortmund. Did you guys see the PSG versus Maccabi Haifa game?
They got a little scare in there.
yeah, they got some good technical ability, and they balled out a little bit. And I think Maccabi took the lead first. I think.
Yeah, like I said, they had a little scare. They went 1-0 up. Yeah.
Yeah. But then here's the names. When you have a Messi who scored first for PSG, and a Mbappe who scored second for PSG, and a Neymar who scored third for PSG, then you can erase a 1-0 lead by Maccabi Haifa from Israel. It's some, even today, there's an Israeli team that played really good in the Europa League. So they lost eventually, but they
Ashraf Hakimi got some, there's a little bit of a political moment there where Hakimi, who's obviously Moroccan, but has been on record supporting, rights of Palestinian people. He had to face a lot of boos from the crowd when he got on the pitch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of rare. Like, it doesn't really happen much in football because obviously we don't have Israeli teams, we don't have any Israeli players. So it was one of those rare moments which fair play to both sides for bringing their voicing their opinion on it.
There's also Maccabi Haifa. I think it has players from all different kind of backgrounds and some of the fan support. So I forgot his name, the journalist Guillaume or Guillaume. He's works for CBS and does soccer mostly in Spain. Was talking about how when they cover the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, they don't talk about because it's spicier. They don't talk about teams like Maccabi Haifa, who has a mixture of players that all play together and get along. So, but I'm not sure if I have to look into the background and nationality of all the players to see how much they are, to see how opposite their ethnic backgrounds are and to see how much they get along. But he was intimating that during the broadcast. Any other Champions League game? Barca versus Bayern? Liverpool Ajax. What you got on that? I saw it too.
They made hard work of that one. I mean, Liverpool dominated, but they made hard work of getting the goals. They had some pretty big chances, but yeah, they got there in the end. Nice goal from Kudus for Ajax. He looks exciting. But yeah, Liverpool got the job done in the end. But yeah, I think it just shows where they're at. They're a little bit disjointed in front of goal, and open at times, going the other way. So that I think this Ajax team is probably one of the lower quality Ajax teams that we've seen in the last few years compared to some of the teams they have had. Obviously, they've had a mass sale of players, change of manager as well. They're still a dangerous team, but not quite the formidable opponent they were in the last sort of 3-4 years, maybe. But no, it was an interesting one. I think let's say Liverpool deserved that victory though. And Salah on the score sheet was big for them as well.
Yeah, and Jota's back, and Thiago Cantara's back, so they're getting injured players.
Thiago was quality.
Back. Yeah, so the things, I'm not gonna panic for Liverpool. They had a lot of injuries, and now, you want it. Milner came off the bench, which is what you want to see. You don't want to see him start the game. You know what I mean? Because he's 38. He's balled out, literally. So it's so when you see that happening as opposed to him starting the game, and so we'll see as Liverpool gets stronger throughout the season period. We'll see.
Plus, they get a bit more time to get players back as well, because obviously their game against Chelsea's been cancelled this weekend. So yeah, they go into the international break now as well.
And from that loss versus Napoli, it's not just going to be you're not going to win the next game 4-0. It's going to be a baby steps in the turnaround, right? I think that's the kind of game they got. They did dominate. They did all the good stuff that you associate with a club team. I think Salah and Jota had a lot of good moments going forward. There's still a few frailties at the back. I think Ajax got a lot of joy getting behind the Liverpool high line, but and that finish by Mohamed Kudus, I think we're gonna hear a lot more about him going forward. He's probably gonna be the next 80 million, 100 million guy from Ajax. Yeah, Ian, you set the standard now. I don't think they're going to be happy a penny below 100 million now.
I mean, unless Anthony turns into like a world beater and you could justify it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I would have said maybe the Ajax keeper could have been the next big one from them, but he looks like he's 50. Yeah. So
hilarious.
Yeah, I've never seen somebody have a full head of hair gray.
And in a ponytail as well.
As a goalkeeper, yeah.
He looks like the guy that serves me coffee at Intelligentsia. Like he could come to Silver Lake and clean up.
He looks like he's a dual career barista and yoga teacher.
Yeah.
Came to LA to make it. That didn't really work out.
Like I've definitely been to one of his retreats at Joshua Tree. You know what I mean? He's like the ultimate hipster looking dude. Yeah. And a Bayern versus Barca, that was a big one. That's the one I watched. Barca, a lot of good ball, but could not put the ball in the back of the net. And I watched the first half. I think it was 0-0, and I said Bayern's going to win this because they're just more mature, and they're going to victimize this young team that's throwing themselves at them. And there's just this. It's almost like Arsenal versus us, or Arsenal versus any team. Like they have the youth, the energy, and the skill, but there's something you need in football that you can't put. It's just this experience of like knowing how to bend and not break and take pressure and then seize a moment, even if it's one moment or two. And Bayern got those two moments. Because first of all, you can't panic when a team is pressing you and they're all over you. So that shows like mentality. And then I just figured that Bayern had the mentality to just deal with everything that Barca was throwing at them and seize the opportunity. And that's what this young Xavi team is missing, like just more experience, just more experience. And in the first half, Barcelona was definitely better than them. They had the opportunities, but Bayern got them. And Lewandowski, and this is another game where a striker goes to, is playing his old team. And Thierry Henry said something very important. He said he probably would have been sharper. Lewandowski probably would have done better if when he was announced or when he walked out there, the Bayern fans had booed him. Then he would have probably had that edge and scored, put away one of those three chances, at least one of them.
Yeah, I thought Lewandowski and Rafinha were the two most wasteful players on that Barca team. I think both of them should have had at least a goal each. Dembele did a lot of good work, like he normally does, in creating chances for people. And then it's Lewandowski and Rafinha who missed those ones. But I think I agree with you that the Bayern team just had that little bit more steel about them, like they were a little bit more mature. Even though there's some great young players in there though, amongst the experience, you've got Musiala, who I just love watching play. The kid's special, and obviously Alphonso Davies as well in there too. But Sané, just it's a shame he's not still at City, because it'd be cool to still get to watch him every week. He had a really good game as well, and obviously Mane he's a threat as well. So that front line, it's incredible that Thomas Muller can still be a nuisance as well. Like he's really smart with how he uses his energy now. He's not quite the player he used to be, where he would just press like a maniac for 90 minutes. But he's used all his experience in that game as well. And Kimmich in the midfield, he's just, everything he does is class. Like he defends well. He's so good on the ball. Like his passing range is unreal. But they had, like you say, they had to ride the storm a little bit at times, but they were clinical, and that's what German teams do sometimes, especially at that level.
I think it's an important win for Nagelsmann too. Like there's been a little bit of heat on him. There's been some reports coming out of the dressing room that some of the senior players aren't really that they're not that much on board with what Nagelsmann's been doing, and the results. They had 3 draws in the Bundesliga, so I think then he needed this win a lot.
All right. We got to jump out. We only got like a certain amount of time left. So I just want to jump out of the Champions League and let's go to the England call-ups. And it's a weird time, because a lot of players that Southgate uses, they're not starting for their teams this year. And it's like a lot of them belong to the spine of his national team. So he called them up anyway, even though before he said he would only use players that are playing. But that was when he first became coach. He said, I'm going to use players that are playing for their teams. But once you become a coach and you've had a few tournaments and you've had a certain amount of success in those tournaments, those players become your players. So then if they're not starting for their club teams, it's like you can't just abandon them because you trust them, even though their club team coaches don't trust them. So then Trent Alexander got called up, which is not one of the names I was thinking, but Harry Maguire got called up. Luke Shaw, who is not starting, got called up. And then there's players that should have got called up in defense. Like I think Ben White should have got called up because even though he's been playing right back for Arsenal, we know he's a central defender, but he's playing. You're like, yeah, he's a right back, but he's playing. You know what Maguire's doing? Not playing. So if you're gonna call Harry Maguire, who's not playing, how about you call Ben White, who is playing? So that's one of the issues and areas that I have. Plus, I just think, listen, man, I'm a Man United fan. I've watched Harry Maguire play, and he just doesn't have it right now. He just don't got it right now. So, and Ben White does. But what do you guys think of defenders that's called up?
I mean, Eric Dyer was, I think, one of the changes from the last squad. He hasn't been in for a little while. I think his form for Tottenham definitely warrants that. And the amount of defenders that Southgate's called up, it looks like we're going to be playing with a back three and wing backs. So obviously Dyer's playing in that, and there's no better coach to be doing that under than Conte, because he knows how to coach a back three inside out with three centre backs. So it's an interesting one. It'll be interesting to see who Southgate goes with, because it's two really hard games as well. It's Italy and Germany, so they're not games you really want to fuck about too much in. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Main thing for me was that Ward-Prowse got called up. That was all I cared about, to be honest.
I respect that call up. Yeah. What about James Maddison or Barnes?
I think they're too far down the pecking order at this point. Like there's just too many people ahead of them. Like even, for example, in the forward line, Sancho didn't get a call up.
I thought that was strange. I would have taken Sancho over Jarrod Bowen at the moment, because Bowen had a really awesome season for West Ham last year, but he started the season a bit flat this year.
He kind of gave away a goal today. He repaid Gareth Southgate by giving away a goal for West Ham today, and Sancho gave the FU to Southgate by scoring today for Man United.
Yeah, that's probably the only change I'd make on the attacking side, because the other forwards, like if you look at them, like Tammy Abraham, obviously in great form for Roma. He's got to be in there. Foden got to be in there. Grealish got to be in there. Kane got to be in there. Saka and Sterling got to be in there. And then Ivan Toney's the one they're taking.
I really like that call.
Yeah, I love the
he deserves a shot for sure.
Yeah, we've been talking about him on the show, and he's just been like, even when he doesn't score, some of the stuff he does with the ball is class. It's just pure class, and he's definitely made me notice him. But one thing I do disagree, I don't disagree. I like Jack Grealish, but he doesn't even really start in the league for Man City. He's another player that's been on the fringes of Man City. The 100 million he's not wearing that well. And he started yesterday against Dortmund and he didn't lose the ball, but he didn't do anything with it either. So it's like, you could have called somebody up who's doing something.
Yeah, but I think I just hope Southgate doesn't do the same thing he does before every major tournament, where he's experimenting right till the last moment. I hope he uses these games to figure out a settled 11. Obviously, personally, I would go with the further back, but even if he wants to go with 3 at the back, I have, when you come up with 11s, I kind of feel there is a certain best 11 that he can, and all these players that he's picked are, he's picked all the right players to come up with a really competent 11. So yeah, I just hope he doesn't keep trying out new combinations. This is the time to actually lock things down.
Goalkeeper's going to be interesting though, because Pickford's injured.
Nick Pope.
So he's got. I'd go Ramsdale personally.
Ramsdale.
Yeah,
there's not much in it.
Distribution is pretty amazing.
I know, but I just feel like Nick Pope's the better shot stopper though.
Ramsdale's still pretty solid.
Yeah, but Ramsdale is definitely a really good shot stopper. And his distribution in the Arsenal, he got them out the back so many times, pinpoint. I was like, they got Edison back there? What's going on? But I know
you should maybe give them like one game each against Italy and Germany. Give them a full 90 minutes each in one of those games, rather than play and sub one on halfway through or some shit.
Yeah.
They should give them one game each to prove who can be the backup for Pickford, or even overtake him if they play well enough.
Are you happy, Neil, about Tomori?
Oh, I love that. I think Tomori, Stones, if it were my opinion, I think they should be the top 2 in the pecking order for centre backs.
That's not what he's going to do. Sorry, it's not what he's going to do. The reason why there's 3 centre backs is to protect Harry Maguire. So
I don't get it. Yeah. I mean, look at the amount of midfield talent you have. Like, why would you compromise that to get another centre back? Like, it's probably one of the strengths of this generation of English footballers.
I mean, wing backs are now midfielders. So
yeah, play Trent in midfield. Like, I've been gunning for that. Like, I would definitely play Trent in midfield. Use him as your Kevin De Bruyne.
I mean, that's what he does for Liverpool, basically. And everybody yells at him for being a bad defender, but he's a midfielder.
But at Liverpool, they don't have a right back. England can actually afford to play an actual right back.
That's not Trent's fault.
Yeah, I know, but at Liverpool, he has to play right back, right? Like, that's his role. So he's obviously going to get criticism when he vacates that role. But you could probably, like, Southgate could. But again, is it wise to do it at this late stage before a World Cup? I don't know.
If he's not playing there every week as well, and I think if we're playing wing backs, Reece James is far more of a rounded player in that position for me, because he can contribute to the attacks, he can cross well, he can shoot well, but he's also a beast of a defender as well. So for me, Reece James beats him in that position every time.
Which is why I feel
Chelsea of the agenda league.
No, but which is why I feel like these are both, 2 generational talents. You should figure out a way, play 4 at the back, play Reece James right back, and play Trent in midfield. Trent in midfield with Declan Rice behind, and maybe either the Mount or the Bellingham as the 3rd midfielder. I think that'd be
still do that.
Really solid midfield 3.
He could still do that. It's maybe one of these games.
I love Trent's range of passing. He's great to watch there. But if it's right wing back, I wouldn't have him there over James.
I agree.
Right. And I know you like Tammy, Neil.
I love Tammy, but I also like the fact that Ivan Toney, because I feel like if it's Kane, Toney, and Tammy, you're getting. I think Kane and Ivan Toney, they can both perform that role of that, the number 9 who can also who can also fall back behind and be more of a link-up player. And then Tammy can give you that extra option of just being a fox in the box kind of a player. So you have that different profile. I kind of like that when you're going into a major tournament, because sometimes I feel like too much of sameness is not good, and just having all different kind of players is also not good. So it's good to have that balance.
All right. And Lee, whose place did James Ward-Prowse take?
Conor Gallagher.
No one. He's been in the last few squads, but Gallagher's one of the midfielders who's missed out.
He works just as hard as Gallagher, but his free kicks are better, and he's a box to box. So I feel like he deserves to be there.
Also,
He's
Gallagher's
more
not really
established
playing anymore, so
yeah.
So
Ward-Prowse is a more established Premier League player than Gallagher.
yeah.
But you know, he's tried them out both.
Yeah, he's our captain as well, so he's a good leader.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a good guy to have in there. I don't think he'll. I think when push comes to shove, I don't think he starts in England's best 11. But he's a good option to have.
Is Jordan Henderson still in the squad?
No, I think he's injured right now.
Yeah.
Is he out due to injury or because is he dropped?
Not sure.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing for Liverpool. Like if I go,
he's just not as dynamic as any of the other midfield options as well. Although I mean, Phillips is in there and he's not really playing for City.
But I'm just saying, like, if Jordan Henderson is not in the squad, that's a huge. Like, if he's dropped, that's a huge call too, because
I think it's an injury.
A Southgate mainstay.
If I'm gonna go to the Champions League from yesterday. Why is it taking so long to come up from this weekend? From yesterday, I go to Liverpool, and then I go to lineups, and he wasn't on the pitch. And
the article I'm looking at says not involved because of injury.
Yeah, he's injured. He's been injured, and that's who he is now. He's injured 1 game, play 2 games, injured 2 games, play 1 game. So, you know, he's been that way for a minute. Anybody else you guys think could have been called up?
I mean, I'm always going to say Kyle Walker-Peters, but no, he's. I love Walker-Peters, and he's been involved in the England squad recently. But if Trent and Reece James are both fit, then he's never getting past those guys.
And Kyle Walker,
Although Walker's almost categorized as a centre back, I think, under Southgate.
Yeah, if you're playing 3 at the back, yeah. I wonder what is the depth at left back though, because I know Chilwell's in the team, but who else? And Chilwell's not really he's still coming back from an injury, so got a kind of.
I think Southgate considers Trippier as a left-sided player on there as well. He's even though he's a right-sided player.
Right.
But it wouldn't be surprised.
But you got Luke Shaw.
Yeah, Saka can play left wing back. Luke Shaw is there as well.
Luke Shaw still there. Yeah, that was my question. I thought Luke Shaw was not in the team. Okay.
Yeah, no, Luke Shaw and Saka can play that. I think after that, if you're looking at another player, one who may be like an outside shout in the future is Matt Targett at Newcastle. I think he's underrated there. He does a good job. He's good going forwards as well.
I feel like he's good, but not these guys good, you know?
No, I think he's an outside shout. I don't think he should get in at the moment ahead of these guys. If you're looking at players who are playing, I think he's probably more deserving than Luke Shaw, but Luke Shaw gets it on experience.
Yeah.
But he's playing well at Newcastle. I like him. He's a good player. I mean, it helps that he's an ex-Southampton Academy player.
There you go with the Lee agenda. And what do you think about, did you guys get a chance to look at the U.S. men's call-up?
I looked at the kit, and that's, they somehow managed to not, kind of ruin it, especially the away kit.
Yeah, I saw one kit, the white kit. I wasn't feeling it like that.
The white kit's pretty basic, but at least it's not bad. But I feel the away kit is positively bad.
I gotta check it out. I don't want to switch from looking at the lineup. I mean, you because I just don't want to be able to. I don't know if I'll be able to get back to it. It took me a long time to find it. So the forwards, Brendan Aronson, So he's at Leeds. Seen him score a few goals in the Premier League. So, all right, then there's Paul Areola, Dallas FC. Jesse Ferreira, Dallas. Seen him play Jesus Ferreira. Jordan Morris, Seattle Sounders. Ricardo Pepe. He plays in the Netherlands. Let's just say that. I'm not going to try to. Yeah, thank you. Christian Pulisic.
Who's that guy?
Finally gets, it's like I've heard he played for Chelsea, but that was a while ago. Gio has been plagued with injuries, and he's played more than Pulisic and this season. And Gio Reyna's back. Dortmund, he's been doing good. He had some assists, and like the last few games for Dortmund. So, and he played this week against Man City. And Josh Sargent from Norwich, which is in the championship, I think. And then there's Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie, Juventus. I like Giannis Musa.
Yeah, he's a baller. He's he's looked really impressive for Valencia so far. He's such a good all-rounder as well. Like, he's really powerful. He's got real presence in the middle of the pitch, but he's also technically pretty sound as well.
Yeah,
but he's one
like
that
he belongs
England,
out there.
Yeah, he's one that England lost. He came through Arsenal's academy. If you hear him talk, he sounds like a London guy as well.
Oh,
but
yeah?
Yeah.
His parents American or something?
I'm not sure. I think he had the option of 3 different countries. I think he had maybe Ghana or somewhere as well.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. I'm curious.
I think it's kind of like the Tomori situation.
He had 4 countries he could play for. He could play for the US, Ghana, Italy, or England. But he grew up in the US. He grew up in the UK.
I was just reading. So Yunus Musa was born in New York City, while his Ghanaian mother was on vacation in the United States. So there you have it.
Hilarious.
That shouldn't be allowed to play. He should be playing for them. That was a holiday. That was a holiday.
Hey,
He should be playing for us.
Hey, man.
But yeah, he grew up in Italy and England,
snap.
which is crazy.
England
but
got
then
enough midfielders. They don't need them.
Yeah. So it was weird. Born in New York, lived in Italy till he was 9. And then in 2012, when he was 9, moved to London and went to Arsenal's academy at 9 years old. And then joined Valencia at 16.
All right.
He can play for whoever he wants.
And which countries can Tomori play for, Neil?
Tomori, I think it's Canada.
Canada.
I think he did play for Canada at youth level, didn't he?
Yeah, at youth level.
Yeah,
you're right. At youth level, he did. And obviously through his heritage, Nigeria and then England.
Yeah, he was born in Calgary or something.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? England could have Haaland and Musa. What's his name from Bayern? Musiala, yeah.
Chelsea could have had Musiala. He was at the academy at the age of like 7 or 8 or something.
Of course he was in your academy. Of course you didn't keep him.
Do you know where he was before Chelsea though?
Don't tell me Southampton.
Yeah, he was with us for a year.
Oh really?
Oh snap.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
When he first moved over from Germany, he came to us very briefly.
But yeah, he was poached pretty early by Bayern, and I've read his interview where he says, "I feel German," you know. So.
His English sounds German. Like I've seen.
he was born in Stuttgart, wasn't he? So yeah.
Still boo. Then defenders. There's Sergio Dest, AC Milan now. Aaron Long, New York Red Bulls. Chris Richards. I'm not naming all the players. Crystal Palace. All right. Joey Scally, Borussia Mönchengladbach. Sam Vines, Royal Antwerp. DeAndre Yedlin, Inter Miami.
He's still around, yeah.
He's still around. I've heard that name for a lot of years. Walker Zimmerman, Nashville. Now, I thought there was a guy on Fulham, Johnson, that was a defender that played, that was US. Maybe he's injured. That's why I didn't get called up. But I could swear there's a Fulham guy. There's another Leeds guy, I think, that's also American that I don't see on this. The only Leeds person I see on this is
no, there's both of them, I think.
Oh yeah. Let me see.
Because where's that guy? Yeah, there's Hudson, and then there's Tyler Adams.
Tyler Adams. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what it is.
The
And
keeper situation is kind of weird, right? Like Zach Steffen's not in there.
And that's the City backup keeper?
Yeah.
Right. He's good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Also, the Maccabi Haifa keeper is American. He went to UC San Diego. So yesterday, he saved a shot from Messi. Yeah, Cohen. Yeah, he saved a shot from Messi. And the guys in Galas was like, isn't that amazing? You went to UC San Diego and you're saving a shot from Messi. And then later on, a few minutes later, PSG lit him up for 3.
Isn't it crazy?
League.
You went to UC San Diego and let in goals from Messi and Neymar.
and Mbappe in pass. Yeah. Sean Johnson, New York City FC, Ethan Horvath, Luton Town. So I don't know if we're using our best goalkeepers. And Matt Turner, Arsenal.
Who's that guy who kind of made some crazy saves in the championship in the penalty shootout? I thought he was American too. Let me see.
Oh, you're not talking about Bryce Samba for Nottingham Forest, are you?
Yeah, I think so. Isn't he American?
No, he's French, and I think it's one of the former French colonies like Guadeloupe or somewhere. He has, or Congo maybe.
Oh, okay.
Congo, yeah, he's Congolese. He's French Congolese.
Okay.
So I guess he's not American. Well, guys, any last thoughts? Should we just do a quick? What's the biggest game this weekend?
Southampton Villa, surely.
That's you tomorrow, Friday. I'm watching that. I'm all over that because of Lloyd. I don't know if I'll have to call in to console him down or congratulate him.
Let me see.
What do you think?
There's no like real crazy big games. Obviously, like Chelsea, Liverpool would have been the biggest if it had played. United, Leeds was always a big one as a derby. There's like Wolves, Man City, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Leicester, Tottenham. Brentford, Arsenal will probably be the most interesting game, I think.
Kind of a London derby.
Yeah, and Brentford have been a bit of a nemesis to Arsenal. So yeah, I think that could be a fun one. But there's no real like standout game this weekend, which would have been Chelsea, Liverpool.
I'm looking forward to Diego Costa back in the Premier League versus Man
Wolves.
City. Yeah. I'm gonna wake up 4:30 to watch that game.
Diego Costa ain't gonna wake up at 4:30, so why should you?
Yeah.
Diego Costa's gonna wake up at 4:30, sharpening his studs for that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's probably not gonna be sleeping. Like that's time for breakfast.
Yeah.
Why did Wolves? Go ahead.
He's been punching a punch bag with John Stones' face on it all week. He's ready, I reckon.
Why did Wolves get Diego Costa? I'm not 100%.
It's because they signed a big target man from Austria who had an ACL injury against us in his first game, which is pretty shit luck. And obviously the window had closed, so they had to find a free agent to come in and give them another striking option. And Costa left Was it Mineiro? Or so he was playing for someone in Brazil and he left in January. So the guy hasn't played since January. He's been a free agent since then.
How old is he now?
35, maybe?
I don't think so. He's not as old as he looks, which, like he came to the Premier League at Chelsea when he was like 26, 27, and he looked 40. So
yeah, he did.
His looks, he's probably
33.
30. Yeah.
I just
33.
had like 33. Yeah, although he's 34 next, 7th of October, he's 34. So he's almost 34.
Razor Ramon is back. He was like a WWE character.
I just can't wait for him to score versus Tottenham and celebrate in Antonio Conte's face. He should do like a celebration, like have somebody on the touchline with a cell phone, pretending
Conte
to send
dumped him by text, didn't he?
Yeah, he should totally do that. Like, Costa, he doesn't understand nuance anyway, so might as well. Just go ahead and do it.
You are no longer in my plans.
Exactly, that was the text. Oh yeah, he should probably like the Balotelli "Why Always Me" t-shirt. You should just do that. You're no longer in my plans.
It's hilarious. Well, guys, thanks for joining us this weekend. Thank you all, everybody, for watching and listening. We love you. Want you to have a good soccer's tomorrow. This thing does not stop. So I'm going to definitely check out Villa versus Southampton tomorrow. And I have no skin in the game, so I'm just going to have a fun weekend watching the rest of the games. We won our last game for 17 days now. So, yeah. Everybody be good. Thanks for pulling up, Lee. Thanks for pulling up, Neil. Appreciate you. Shout out to our producer, Aaron Brungardt. And too bad Martin couldn't make it for this podcast, so we could just spend the whole 2 hours talking about Sporting beating Spurs. But listen, that score is always going to exist, so we're always going to have that opportunity. Everybody be good. We love you. Spread the word. One.
All right. Quick one, guys.